Architecture has traditionally been about creating shelter. It's about building barriers, and it's about four walls and the roof that surround us and protect us and safeguard us. But these barriers also segregate us. Today, we're living in an age of ever-growing megacities, and more than half of the world's population are now living in cities. Greater Metro Manila is an area of about 28 million people, and what this means is that 30% of Filipinos are living on 1.6% of the Philippines. So we are, growing our cities in an unprecedented scale. There's no blueprint for how we're supposed to do it. But Manila is one of the biggest cities in the world. And so we believe that from Manila, we can learn much and how we can build new ideas and how we can live, at least as humans, into a more sustainable and global city. I grew up in Tondo. This is the densest place in the world. In Tondo, we play basketball on the streets. You can find a sari-sari store on every corner. We ride the jeepneys shoulder to shoulder. And what you can see is that for Filipinos, it's always about this human connection. It's all about the people. And in the Philippines, you can see that there are always two buildings that you can find everywhere. You can find a chapel on the sidewalk, on the street. You can find it in the shopping mall, in the hospital, in the smallest village, or outdoors. When we want to pass our exams, we pray. When we want to graduate, we pray. If you want to do a TED Talk, you pray. Kind love life, we pray. So we pray, for everything we pray, because the church has made sure that there is a church that can provide you guidance and support wherever you are. And the other building are barangay halls. On every other street in Manila, you will see a barangay. And the entire country is actually made up of, barangays. And whenever there's any domestic quarrels, the first place you go is the barangay. You fight with the Mrs. Barangay. The neighbors are noisy, that's where you go. So the barangays have become kind of like the front line, and the first, place of engagement between government and people. And so what this means is that the church and the state, the two biggest institutions in our country, have learned that to better engage and serve the people, they have to be everywhere. And from this, we have Hembeck saw that there's this distinct form of architecture that we have called social architecture. It's an architecture that serves to connect all of us, that looks beyond our immediate backyard and tries to bring us all together into communities. And we find three things for us that kind of define what social architecture is. The first idea is that of engagement. We wanted to juxtapose the relationship between people and our buildings. Imagine if you don't have to go out of your way to go to the museum. If it's on your way to work, or if you have to go to church, the chapel is just there, when you're feeling blue or sad. And so this idea that the architecture is right where you need it. The idea that architecture can be everywhere, I think, is what we want to create in social architecture. It's basically what you have, a good analogy would be the software you have on your desktop and the app you have right now on your mobile phone. That's the jump that we want to create in architecture. The next idea is that of freedom of movement. Us architects, we're all obsessed about accessibility. We talk about ramps, about granting universal access, about democratizing space. But the reality is, a lot of our buildings, a lot of our spaces, discriminate against a big part of the population. For example, coming here today, you have to go through the guards by the gate. You have to line up for security. You have to enter a door. You have to register. You have to get information. Then you're guided in. So these are 5 or 6 steps that are somewhat unnecessary, especially when you don't have, you don't have the time. You're not dressed properly. You don't have the proper IDs, or you simply are intimidated by a structure like this. And so we feel that architecture must be barrier-free. It must serve as a lubricant for everyone to come together. The last idea for us of what social architecture can be is this idea about social intimacy. Most of our institutions are housed in this like monolithic structures, that serve to project power and all. And these structures, they serve to intimidate the normal people. So if you're not dressed properly, if you don't have the proper credentials, then you hesitate into going inside these institutions. But these are the people who actually need, culture the most. They're the people who need access, to proper institutional services. And so we believe that by creating smaller bite-sized pieces, by making architecture not just in a human scale, but at the social scale, then we can better serve the people. The project I'm presenting today is called the Bookstop Project. This was an urban initiative we did back in April of 2016. And the idea behind the bookstop is, as an architect, we're always asked, do people still read books? How come libraries don't work? How we can make them more engaging? And when you think about it, when I thought about it, I actually enjoy books. I love to read, I love the smell of books. I love the anticipation as you turn the page and you wonder what's going next. And so I feel like the reason we're moving towards a more convenient digital platform is because it's more easily accessible. And so I said, if you look at this room here, this is the Rose Reading Room in the New York Public Library. It's probably one of the most beautiful library rooms in the world. And yet there's a sense of grandeur and awe. You feel like you can't really play around, you're not comfortable when you're there. And it seems like the atmosphere is one that says, don't talk, don't eat, don't bring your friends, shush. So, you don't really feel like you're you. And so we thought that, maybe what's really wrong, what we have to change is the platform or delivery. Maybe it's the architecture that must change for us to better engage with our libraries. And so we identified what are the components that we actually need for a library. We said, you don't need much. You need a platform that kind of defines the space as a library. You need shelves for the books. You need shelter for protection against the elements, and you need seating for the people. And so in a 12 square meter space, you have your library. And the idea of the bookstop is that we can have this library in a park. Imagine this, it can be in every plaza or park in this country. And by doing so, we are actually activating all these dormant public spaces that sometimes we forget are there. And how security is done is through a collective form of security. It's because of the visual openness, of the availability of eyes upon the project all the time. And because of this, we have been able to secure the space. We have been able to sort of create a collective effort into how to maintain this. Because if you think about it, the very first libraries were actually just storage spaces for books. You actually went there to get the scrolls. You went outside because you don't have electricity, and you read the books in the park or outdoors. And so the most ideal form of a library is actually, consuming books outdoors. And the library can serve as this very rich platform. It's a collective platform to bring communities together, to make us come together, share stories with each other, and build up our community. And the bookstop can be anywhere and everywhere. We've actually moved it from Makati to Intramuros, to Quiapo, to Alabang, to Quezon Memorial, and to BGC. And so we've been able to show that libraries matter. Filipinos actually want to go to the library. The thing is, we can't seem to find them. And with these libraries, what we're doing is we're trying to build a community. We're trying to build a community that fosters awareness. Because awareness fosters citizenry. And citizenry fosters nation building. And sometimes when we complain why we can't seem to get the proper things going, in terms of the public sector, I believe one of the things that we lack are the communities that form around libraries. And what libraries can do in terms of making communities is we can actually have storytelling sessions, we can have author workshops, artist workshops. We can bring people together to share ideas with each other. And all of this works because of trust. The Bookstop project works on an honesty system. You give a book, you get a book. So it's totally open, completely barrier-free. It's there 24/7 in the park. There's no one there to tell you what you can or can't do. It's your own space. It's the public space. Because the public space belongs to each and every one of us. And for us, how a library like this can work, versus a humongous library or versus the online libraries that you can find in Amazon or Google, is that there's this sense of serendipity. You never know what you're going to find. You might be able to find, a book from someone who's looking for a partner. You might be able to find a book with a letter from a long-lost grandfather or something. The idea is that you go there because you want to browse. And this idea or sense of discovery, I think, is what makes it very human. It's a very human experience as opposed to just looking through a catalog or finding something out of that thing. And the idea that you have this library or this space here in the middle of the park, that's sort of like you can go to on a whim on your way to work, or you can go to on a whim going home from school. It acts as a bonfire at night, almost like getting people to come together collectively and share stories and share experiences, share very social experiences together. And so what really makes the Bookstop human is this idea that libraries are for each and every one of us. And if we want to create a space that children actually want to be in, somewhere where they're comfortable, where everyone is a librarian. And the idea here is that one of the most pointless stories we had when we built the Bookstop was we actually had street kids coming in and wondering like, these books are ours, we can actually bring them home, they're for us, they're free. And this idea of something that they can actually own, because it's a public space, I think, is something we can teach all our kids. And for us, every moment we get like this, a moment where you can have someone share stories with each other, where you can have a father, share a story or a book with his child. I think each and every one of these are precious moments. And the data supports it. Everywhere we put the Bookstop, we did a study, and with actually 12 square meters, versus a typical 200 to 300 square meter library, we're actually turning over like 3 or 4 times the number of books. So for example, this is in Intramuros, we're lending out about 112 books a day, and people were borrowing about 36 books from the Intramuros library. So this means that with 12 square meters, $16,000 a year in construction and operations, we've been able to go to 5 communities. We have about 800 books in our shelves, and people borrow about 100 to 150 books a day from the Bookstop. And this means that it costs us about 3 pesos and 60 centavos per visit. This is an exponential increase in efficiency in terms of how libraries operate. And this is our favorite image of the Bookstop. This is a headline the day after the last presidential election. It says seamless transfer of power. And for us, this is what the library best represents. A library is the transfer of knowledge and power to the people. So what is social architecture? For us, it is architecture that connects and builds communities. It is architecture that's about all of us. Thank you.